And like the Who in that concert, does anybody out there play the drums? I think Greg blew up again. He's not around for. Hopefully, we'll reassemble him for next week. But we should have a very good show for today. And we have our guest. You introduce yourself because I'm confused about what name you're using.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, Mikey James.
Yes.
Or Mike James.
If you want to do a Living River or whatever.
Oh, yeah. The project I'm in currently is called Singing River.
Singing River.
But over the years, I was known as Andy said on the way in, solo. I was Mikey Jukebox. And then when I produced the demos for a while. You had the demos on, right?
Yeah.
And I was their drummer for a while.
Oh, we'll get
I produced a couple of their records, but Mikey, they were the ones who started to call me Mikey, and so it just kind of stuck. Before that, it was Mike James. You know?
Oh, he likes it, Mikey. He likes it.
Exactly.
Just going on his little stream of consciousness, it was pouring for a bit. What's like the worst experience like you had, like either playing, being at a concert, and bad elements?
Bad elements.
Now, I'll go first a little like for golf. It was Island Valley where I thought we were going to get caddyshacked by the lightning. But for me, it was theater. It was called Shakes Kill, and it was in Star Alley by Lux. And it was this comedy like with a bear and like Shakespeare. Yeah. It was we were absolutely drenched. It was fun. Do you have any memories?
I don't have really any memories, and I've played a bunch of gigs. I just don't have anything off the top of my head.
Maybe.
Elemental. I remember we drove out. The one thing we had a power issue. With the demos, as a matter of fact. We had this big gig at Cornell, and we got down there, we got to the frat house, everything's set up. I played one note on the drums, and the power went down.
Well, this was a demo this time. Well, how did this...
And we packed up, and we got paid. For one note, for one drum hit.
Can I be in a band like that? That would just be the best. It would be like the old Chico Marx routine. Well, we practice $15. If we don't practice, you couldn't afford us. Why? If we cannot practice, we cannot play. You don't want us to play. But how did I always ask, this is a crazy life to get into, the music life. What was like the siren's call that brought you to this?
My father's a guitar player, and they would always jam in the basements. He would bring me to their jams in the early 80s. And they noticed early that I could keep time on the drums. And so by age 6, I played the Spur of the Moment, if anybody remembers that place, down on Ling and Dewey. Remember the Spur of the Moment?
You know, this is...
I do.
Andy remembers.
This is actually, it's funny how things come around in life. It's almost, you know, the idea you mentioned something. My cousins live on Edgemere, and times after the kid, I will park on Edgemere, and I'll go walk around. I'll cut down by Lakeshore and Ling Road and walk down there by Russell Station.
Yeah.
Where was that about? Was it like down?
That was right at that corner plaza where there's Lakeshore Apartments.
Oh, okay.
And there was a big drive-in sign. You know where Horizon Skateway is?
Yeah.
It's the roller skating place. It's right there. Spur of the Moment was right there. And then later on in the 90s, there was a bar called Slammers.
I remember
and
that.
then I was in a band called, that's the only time I was really in a cover band was in the East Coast Connection with Elvio. And that was like in the late 90s, and we played Slammers a lot.
Actually, it's very not surprising, but I would say like about 75% of our guests, at least, they come from a musical background.
Yeah, I could see that. And I really didn't have a choice, I tell people, and I don't remember learning how to play drums. I've just always known how to play drums.
I never, because I'm always, unfortunately, I've done film stuff, and I write. I do this because when you can't do anything else, it's like you do a podcast. But I've never been really with a band. I think I've always said I'm sort of a polymath. I have interests all over the place. And you have to, when you want to be good at something, I mean, you have to be good at it. And we all have high school bands, and I played bass.
Okay.
And I've always said you have to be, it's still one of the funniest stories I've ever had. So I'm like, I'm going to college. This ain't doing for me. I had this amp that was just horrifying. I'm like, okay, let's see if I can get $5 for it. I go down to the shop on Land. I look Dewey and Land. A guy comes out.
What, Art's place?
No, I don't know what it was. It was Oh.
You remember Art's music?
Yeah, it wasn't Art's, okay. I know it wasn't that. The guy comes in, he looks like David Lee Roth.
Oh, really?
And he goes, he takes the amp, and I hear in the back when he's playing it. Here, I'm like, oh, great, I'm going to pay him to take it. He comes out, takes $75 for it. I'm like, give me the money, let me run out of here for you.
Yeah.
But how did you learn to play then for drums?
I was 3 years old when he had me start to play, and my first memories is we had an apartment back in the day before we lived off Lyle Ave. We had a place off Driving Park, and I distinctly remember my dad's friends coming down. But first I wanted to sing, and I remember singing Wouldn't Want to Be Like You by Alan Parsons with them.
Yeah.
And that being the first time where I noticed that, because I think I phrased the vocals correctly, that people were impressed. But then by the time we lived in this house off Lyle Ave over by Mount Reed, I remember being in my room playing, but I just always knew how to play. And then so he wanted to show me out. You know Smokin' Joe's?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So that's my cousin Joey Pizzo. So he was involved with me playing as well. I just don't remember, but that when they brought me to the spur of the moment in January '83, I believe, I played "Give Me All Your Lovin'," and so the timing was there, and I just remember people being like, "Oh, this kid," And
I could play kazoo like those ones we used to get at Sibley Plaza. I mean,
I was just playing kazoo yesterday.
You one up me.
No, I was.
I think sometimes that's the thing. I think sometimes we have innate talents, and you have to draw them out. It's like some of those movies where, okay, you make this guy, or you could take someone, and okay, you practicing them for like 6,000 hours. You could get the root, but you don't get the feel. You can't do it. And like for drums, for me, it was always okay. Like the one hand, this
separation.
Okay, then you have to pop this. I forgot to do this.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point in time where my dad would get on me and he would say, "Look, dude, you're not growing," or put this album on, and he'd put that on, like some Jean-Luc Ponty, or play to this, and I had no interest in that. I wanted to play to my Kiss records. I wanted to be Anton Fig, even though Anton has all that ability, but you wouldn't hear that on the records, right? And so I would just play to that kind of stuff. And I had no interest, and he'd get on me about learning separation like Terry Bozzio, and I didn't want to be a world-class drummer. I liked that I was a pocket drummer. I dug it, and I just kept sort of that.
I'm glad you brought up Anton Fig, too. I like these guys, like Liberty DeVito, or someone who people who know. And I think he played for, did he start it on Unmasked, or was he before that, even for Peter? And they wouldn't say.
I don't even know. I know who he is. I know what he looks like. He was Billy Joel, too, right? Was he?
Yeah, maybe. I think the whole thing. Ace said he was actually going to take over.
Oh, you mean for Anton? Yeah, Anton. Yeah.
Liberty was Billy Joel, but the story supposedly goes is he was going to take over when they booted Peter.
Yeah, they did.
And the thing was, I guess Gene and Paul said,
"I don't want
you
the two
party,
together."
Yeah, you party.
Yeah, two party too much. Yeah, yeah. And I loved, as a young kid, I vastly preferred Ace's solo album to anything in the catalog. That was my...
Well, my old joke now is Ace sounds more like Kiss than Kiss.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's, I think, one of your things growing up was being a Kiss fan.
I was known as in town as one of the most rabid Kiss fans up until I was 16, and then and then I figured out. I just started paying attention to more stuff. Obviously, Radiohead started to happen.
I always say that happens. I call it gateway drugs, because we grow up, and I become one of those people. Like Brother Weeze one time called me hipper than thou, because I was going on about bands I thought sucked.
Yeah.
And I think at the end, it's almost like...
Bless you.
It's almost like picking like your favorite hot sauce or mustard. You like what you like, and sometimes, because I grew up, I had a brother who was in a local band, so I had more diverse, but you would go to school, it's all the big names, but so I was starting to get exposed to all kinds of music. But like for Kiss, for me, and there's a guy, I'm mentioning his name, my good friend Tommy Semino. He was like by far still the biggest Kiss fan I've ever known.
There was a kid named Joe too. You know Joe?
Hmm.
I won't use his last name just in case he doesn't want to be on a podcast.
Tell me afterwards.
There was this kid Joe. He had everything. He had every bootleg I was after. Like when I wanted the Magic Mountain bootleg, even though it was crap, I was obsessed with that show a little bit because it was the Phantom show, and he had it.
We had
it was a bad audience.
This was so because remember, like people, boys and girls, you could not just go on my phone right now and order something. But we had a thing like Kiss meets the Phantom. First saw it, was hooked. Yeah. And Tommy Semino and I, what we would do is we would be monitoring. I'd be getting home like from something. I get a call. I heard it's on Toronto channel at 2 a.m. But then seeing it years later, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, if we're going to dig it up, you remember John Gensler from Officer Friendly?
Yeah.
It was the point where my guitar player and the band we were in the late 90s, our high school band, we'd go see Officer Friendly and Exploding Boy and stuff like that. But he was like, dude, you got to see, because Gensler liked Kiss. He's like, you got to come over and see this kid's Kiss collection. And so people would come over for my Kiss garb. Crazy.
Oh, there's a guy like at the
Then I dropped them, though. Because then people will still send me texts about it. I just don't care. I really don't.
No, I saw
I have no love left.
No, that's not. We grow, though. That's the thing. Yeah. I saw like Creatures of the Night. I saw the tour with Night Ranger.
It was my first show.
Paul Stanley's birthday.
Hold on. It was my first show, January of 83.
Yep.
My dad took me. That's my very first concert.
Oh.
That show.
Oh. My first show. If you want to, it was Up with People.
Was it?
Yeah.
What was that like?
We
got to get into that. What was that scene like?
It was like some weird, like my neighbors, they wanted to go see the Kodak Hall. It's like, come with us. It was, for me, I'm like somebody who's terrified of Mr. Rogers. I don't like nice. It scares me. I always think nice is just, frightening or whatever.
What year?
Oh, it had to be like, we'll ballpark it 1980 or so.
Okay, so it was late in the movement.
Well, maybe early, maybe not. I'm just really bad with dates.
Okay.
But they did. I remember when someone's like Rainbow Ride, and they're all like happy and all.
Yeah.
And I'm going, this is. But my first, I would like to brag about, my first show, otherwise for rock, was Ozzy, Diary of a Madman.
Okay, and that's 81,
81,
right?
82. Yeah. It was right after, we had Bernie Torm and Rudy Sarzo's book Off the Rails. He said that was, Torm was more his blues guy. This was his best show. This was like 2 weeks after Randy died.
Whoa.
And Ozzy was sick too. He had a cold. UFO didn't show up. But then I used to go, you remember?
Sounds like the 80s.
Yeah, remember back in the day too? You go to those war memorial shows, you go, as soon as they turned on the light, it'd be like the mushroom cloud of pot and everything. And we used to go, remember, another thing for everybody out there, you young folks, how cheap shows were?
Yes, sir.
And my brother went to see Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin, like $3.50.
Even as far back as, well, now we're saying it's 30 years ago. I graduated in 94, but when we saw Aerosmith and Brother Kane, I believe that show was like January 94. I mean, 6 high school teenagers were just able to go off the money we made.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Well, we were like...
Can you work at Starbucks and just go to the Dylan show?
We were pissed because
Outlaw?
Rush, The Nerve, was $17.
Oh, wow.
That was... We were getting mad because that was... Because my second show was Rainbow Ride and Scorpions. And that was like $10.50 or so. Everything like that.
I have the ticket stub for... Or a photo of it from that... Kiss 83 show. I wonder how much that puppy was. You think it was under 10? The January 83
I'm going to say, because Gene, I'll say it's like 10. I'll say it's like 10.
All right, good point.
I'll say it's like
good
10.
Point.
Remember they brought out the cake and everything?
No, because I was 6. But I do remember this, and I tell this story to people, that I didn't know Ace was gone. I'm 6. And all I wanted to see was Ace. And I knew instinctively by the way he was playing that wasn't Ace. And I remember not liking his note selection already. I was that picky. And I remember looking at my dad like, Dad, where's... And my dad didn't give a crap about Kiss. Okay? He did it because it was a 6-year-old son. And I inherited my uncle's 7 years older than me. So in like 81, he handed me his Kiss records and they weren't cool anymore. Now it all makes sense. And then I took them in. And so I became this Kiss fan because I got my uncle's hand-me-downs because he found Jim Morrison. You know what I mean? So I became this Kiss kid, and I remember, Dad, where's Ace? Dad, where's Ace? I remember one particular time I asked. I must have asked him over and over. He's like, dude, I don't effing know. Just stop asking me. Like I was probably becoming.
And that's when they did the whole, because they had the
agitating
contract where Ace was like, after music from the other, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Before the contract, they had to pretend where Vinnie Vincent played on it. And I never got to see Ace, which would be, he's like the best musician and everything else.
Yeah.
But my dad was always, my mom made him go to the first thing. And then he just got tired of it because wasn't his thing. He's a Spike Jones guy. But his only comment on rock was about Rod Stewart. He had this theory he wore pantyhose, and I could never figure out. Well, it's one of those mysteries he took to the grave.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, how's your own musical journey progressing from there and into you start playing?
I suppose in the 80s I sort of just don't care about music as much. I was really into baseball. But my dad would
You're too young, though. Become, like I said now, yes, I'm a Dodgers fan. I always have been, but I become obsessed with baseball in my older years.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, no, I just ran into Dusty Baker on the canal a couple of weeks ago, and he gave me 10 minutes of his time. We were talking. Yeah, we can get into that. But I don't know. My dad would still bring me to clubs, though. There was a club off Joseph. Maybe Andy, you remember? You remember the Great American or something like that off Joseph Blues Club? No, the American Dream, maybe it was called. And there was like Sunday gigs with Rockin' Robin or whatever, and he brought me in there once, and I could shuffle at a young age, where kids usually aren't shuffling, you know. And so I hung in there a little bit, but it wasn't until senior year '93, a friend of mine came up and was like, I hear you play drums. I want to start a band. And that was it. After fall of '93, I haven't stopped. I just have not stopped every day. I did a month at MCC, quit, played my first gig at the arcade, fall of '94, and that was it, really. I haven't looked
That's
back.
My first, club experience was the Penny Arcade.
Yeah.
And remember, I think there's a guy I knew in high school too. He lived by there. I think he tried to push the lore of how bad it was. And you go down, and I'm going, I don't care if these guys are bikers. Nobody can look intimidating with an ice cream cone. But you go in there, and the only scary part I ever had was, for one, during Motorhead, they were throwing people out every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But for one band, I don't know if it was Saxon, could have been Keel, it could have been somebody shoved me. Bang into this, looked like a 500-pound biker.
Yeah.
He just looks at me. Don't push, man.
Oh, yeah.
But then you got your Black Sabbath shirt on, leather jacket.
Yeah.
You're trying to look cool, then mommy's picking you up outside the car.
All right,
It's like stir crazy. We bad.
Yeah, and I would say by '94 the arcade's starting to dwindle down.
Yeah, this was
right?
in the early '80s.
Yeah, but it still sounded. We'll talk, my friends and I, about how good it sounded in that room. It really did.
Well, Motorhead did.
No, I saw. Remember "Cry of Love"?
Yeah.
I saw "Cry of Love" and Oddly Free that night. That was like.
Usually the sound was good. Remember, it was, I think, Loudness. It's a Japanese metal band.
I remember that.
I saw them there.
Okay.
But what's your Dusty Baker story?
Yeah, my daughter and I work for one of the municipalities around here, so I'll just leave that sort of vague. And I was just driving down Shane. It's called Shane. You know Shane?
Yeah, I know.
I'll say it. It's down Shane Place, and I look to my left, and passing label 7 in neutral ground is Dusty Baker. And I stopped dead in my tracks. And I turned around, I went down, parked real quick. I had my daughter with me. She's like, what are you doing? Why are you acting like this? Like I flipped out.
Johnny B. Baker.
Yeah, and I ran out, and he was sitting on a bench all by himself on the canal. And I just walked right up. I was just brazen. I don't know what it was. It's the 12-year-old boy. You know what I mean? I walked up. I was like, hey, coach. And he stood up, huge smile, shook my hand, and talked to me for 10 minutes. We got in a whole bunch of stuff. And the odd thing was that he was here for Father's Day weekend to see Darren play.
Yeah.
Because Darren's on the Red Wings. And he had a Negro Leagues Museum hat, and I had the National Baseball Hall of Fame hat. So our picture together. I don't know. I just thought it was
I love those.
that we just had the museum hats on.
It's like one of my friends ran into Viggo Mortensen in urinal at a university, and literally what he said was, "What are you doing here?" And I guess he was an alum of the place, and he was back for that.
Yeah.
But,
well, he said I hadn't been here since '71. Probably with Richmond, right?
Because he played for Atlanta first, I think.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, and I would
great.
say so. I don't know if Richmond was the farm team in '71. Were they still?
Yeah. Richmond Braves.
And then, but he said he brought up Syracuse. He didn't like how it somewhat was in decline. He was worried about that, and he thought, like, where am I? Like, well, why is this spot so nice? And I said, well, you're in a nice stretch. And it's really nice here. But it's not like that all over the canal in Rochester. It varies, you know. And so he was more into sociology at first. And then we got into a little bit of talking, and my daughter plays travel softball. So I said, yeah, my daughter's playing. He just looked at her, and he goes, oh, one thing, hustle. Just hustle. I just yelled at Darren the other day for not backing up somebody at the wall and a catch. And just hustle.
You know what you talk about?
I mean, we're talking about if he's going to tell you one
Dodgers,
thing. Yeah, well, but he was sitting alone. He says his wife was at the spa, you know, and so I wanted to. And then so when I got in the car and we went back around, I think my daughter and I may have gone to Starbucks. When I came back over the bridge, I looked down. He's still sitting there alone. And, you know, it's a cool vision in my head.
My biggest problem, though, is I'd be, like, talking to them. Go, hey, you want to come down and do the show?
But I did go home and write a song called High Five because of it, because you know the lore about him inventing the high five.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I got a tune based off of Albert King's Crosscut Saw.
I think that's the difference, though, like with creative people, is you're looking for inspiration everywhere like that.
Oh, yeah, and with that incident, right? I mean, how could you...
You were talking about somebody thought you sounded like Bowie?
Yeah, back in the day, that was sort of like...
Oh, you were into Bowie?
Well, that same uncle... he was into, you know, I was listening to Rubber Band at 8. So I had all these influences. I had my dad's prog influence. I got the Demiola records in the pile. But he still liked cool stuff, you know, like he liked good R&B. And then my uncle's showing me, and then he goes to Purchase and comes home with Jesus Mary Chain, Jesus Lizard, The Door. Like I said, The Door. So I'm getting all this indie influence on top of, and it wasn't long before I was a Bowie rat, you know what I mean? And yeah,
I always say that's like I go back to like days. I always like you always want to meet like the sort of friend even weirder than you, and for me that's tough. Yeah. But I would get like a friend of mine, and he was all into like Nick Lowe and everything. And was, I mean, my gateway drug, I always say for music, was Jesus of Cool, because Nick was like, he was pop, but it wasn't pop, you know, it was more and more. Yeah. And I also like...
It was intellectual.
Yeah.
Sophistopop, right?
Marie Preve was still the best light ever. She was a winner who became the dog eating dinner. And then it started just going around. You go from there.
Yeah.
And that's how you build up. That's the thing I get so mad about with people here and everywhere, I'm sure, too, is they just stick to what they know.
Yeah.
And I have that, no problem you like it, but like I have friends say, you want to go see the Eagles cover band? And I'd say, well, okay, except Mighty High and Dry's playing. You'll like them. What do they like? Well, I can't really describe them, but they're good. You'll like them.
Yeah.
And they won't go.
No. Yeah. I filled in for that. I filled in for Mighty High and Dry one. A couple years ago.
See, we have all these connections.
Yeah, Alan played on the early Singing River singles.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you're going on, when did Singing River come about? I am going to, because the Little River Van was this year, I'm going to mess the name up every time.
It's all right. Singing River, I mean, we came up with the name in the summer of 20, and it stinks because we had 2 songs sort of tracked, and then COVID hit.
I was going to ask...
Our first sessions are March of 20.
Oh, your timing is impeccable.
Yeah, I know.
I was going to ask, I've asked that question for a while on here, too. You're going along, and then all of a sudden everything closes down. Yeah. And how does that affect you in terms of, obviously, creatively, with your career?
I think it helped this project because of the network of friends I had, Alan, and the guitar player who I started. He's like my Mike Campbell. That's what I say, you know. And so we just started overdubbing. We were finding a sound through overdubbing, so we call them, like, those are like Jeff Lynne sessions. We're just figuring it out. And now that we have people actually playing, now a real band is forming. And so some of those early singles don't come off right. And we've had to change the way we play those songs to fit the band. And I'm obsessed with Dylan now. Now Dylan's my kiss. So, I mean, that's how he operates. He'll just throw new players in just to see what they bring, and he'll form songs. In my estimation, that's how he does it.
I'm huge, and I've seen Dylan when he's been putrid,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen him when he's really good. The last time I saw him was, I think it was late. It was at the Auditorium Theater. I think it was late 2018. It might be 2019.
I was at that show.
Yeah.
I was first row at that
2018?
one. I paid the money to be first row, and I just watched him, and I made sure I was in front of
You want
the
a funny
piano.
story?
What do you-
Okay, first funny story. So I'm up a little harder than you. And I'm looking, and I see this dude got the hat and the car. It's got to be Dylan. Where's he singing? I watched the guitar player for 3 songs, so I realized Dylan was on piano. And I think because of his hand.
Yeah.
And I like how he goes, and like the other fun Dylan part was like what he did with like Rolling Stone. And it's like songs you've heard how many times, but what is he playing?
Yeah.
Like It Ain't Me, Babe. You know,
Yeah.
I become obsessed with Dylan more like that.
And then he delivers the punchline, and you know what it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2-3 lines, and people recognize, and you get the
Yeah, those
pattering
pause,
and claps, you know.
And you could see do that
Yeah.
and everything. But no, he's become really, and I'm a big Tom Waits fan too.
No, same.
But I was going to
Same
say,
here.
like for 2020, I'm going, okay, I knew I was old because actually I got like a Atari Gold. I strained my neck playing the bowling. But I'm going to be all creative. I'm talking to friends. What have you been doing? You know, I came up with 4 albums worth of material. What have you been doing? I'm debating looking for the sock that got lost in the laundry. You know? And the thing, you'd be walking, like be a person
Which
walking.
sounds like a Waits line.
Yeah.
Right? Something off Orphans.
But I never saw Tom Waits, which stinks.
No, neither did
I used to live in Alexandria, and I was back here. I was playing the Strath Allen. So I went looking.
Virginia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went looking for him. And if you want music, it's a lot better here.
Okay.
I mean, the one thing is, like, I lived in Albany, too. And my only good Albany experience was meeting Suzanne Vega.
Okay.
And the thing was, it's like, okay, her music, yeah, a little bit. But honestly, she's like one of the nicest persons I've ever met.
Yeah.
And I was talking to her about, she's signing my ticket. It's like one of those people who, like, talking to her about the Smithereens, because, like, they worked for her. And she's sort of stopping and listening. And she actually, I got to find them before I moved. She used to send me Christmas cards every year for many years.
Wow, that's excellent. Yeah, I just thought of Tom's Diner the other day. I haven't heard that in
And Luca.
like 25 years, man. I haven't heard it in ages.
But now, again, we'll go back because we sort of jumped ahead a little bit. So you're in the 90s playing. What are you doing?
Drums.
Drums.
Because that was what I was known for.
Yeah.
But when we had the band, the kid that asked if I wanted to play drums, he just had instrumentals. And so I was the one adding melody and lyrics. And we would sort of coax the lyrics the way he wanted them. But I was starting to figure out that I could write hooks. And then from there, I didn't care about drums ever really again. I mean, I had the talent, I suppose, still to get the job done, and I ended up being in a band that was
That's why I do
signed.
this, too,
But
because I write, but I can't be brief. So
Okay.
you have to know how to put the words together.
yeah, and I wasn't a very good lyricist.
To tell a story,
I mean, I
too.
still don't believe I am.
Like,
but-
out of all things, I point out to like the Bare Naked Lady song Jane. I just use it because it's telling the story in 3 verses, and we've all had that kind of person in our life.
Yeah.
You're like Dylan, he's telling stories.
I just recently, since Singing River, have been able to tap into sort of. I have a song called The Ballad of Stony Lonesome, and I'm able to sort of. Which is funny, I bring up Frank's Wild Years in it, but I didn't say I want Frank in the story. It just subconsciously hit. And that's when you're starting to know you're getting somewhere, I think.
I also
And
think you have the either phone, little notepad, because if you're walking or strolling,
sure. Yeah,
you always
my
have to. 'cause
notes- my
I will
notes are
I will
stacked.
forget, like,
I can show you. I have
no, I know
thousands,
it's like
yeah,
mine. I have
it's-
notebooks full
Yeah,
of stuff. I'm always just writing down.
Yeah.
I love how songs come about sometimes. It's like, sometimes it's funny asking, okay, what's the song's about? And it's like, nothing at all that you would think it would be.
Yeah.
But I always call it the High Riser song, Sparks on the Highway. They have Nick Cruz sometimes will collaborate with Greg Townsend, write the lyrics.
Yeah.
All he did was he saw a guy, he's out driving at night, a guy threw a cigarette out on the highway, Sparks on the Highway. ATM inside. They're
That's
driving,
how it works.
ATM inside.
Sure.
They're driving. It's inside.
You still have to have the kid's imagination.
Yeah.
Um,
Or a
and-
dirty mind if you're writing Steely Dan songs.
Well, yeah, or if you're trying to be Gene and Paul. Just trying to come up with a new analogy for the act, right?
The old Paul thing. Well, most of our songs are about getting laid.
Yeah.
But I like that song, See You Tonight, like Gene Simmons. And he asked Paul and John to be on it. So he had some guys with Beatlemania on it.
Yeah.
But you listen to the lyrics, it's like, they make no sense in a way.
Yeah, and Gene always had a Beatle-y notion to him, let's face it. Yeah,
It seems everybody like Ozzy who passed, he loved the Beatles.
Mhm.
They all just seem to love the Beatles.
yeah.
But now you're going ahead in the 90s. And
Well, I want to get back to that songwriting thing, because one thing I've learned over the years is that I grew up sort of writing, because Wilson just passed away, right? And I watched him, there was people were posting all sorts of videos, and there's this one video about how he writes. And he writes the melody and the chord structure first, and then he dumps the words on, right? Or has Van Dyke Parks do it, right? That's how I've written for many years. However, I've studied enough, because I've been really into old 78s and the old forms and the early A&R guys like Ralph Peer and Frank Buckley Walker. I can go on and on about this crap. But there's a southern way that you write. And some say that's what made Dylan so great, is because he was lyric first and then just dumps progression on, and that's why there's sort of primitive progression. A lot of blues stuff is like that, or country, 3-4 chord stuff, because they write the words first. They know the story's great to begin with. And I've learned that that's sort of how it was, like Tin Pan Alley was the same way, where it was like there's a northern way, which is like melody and structure first, then dump the words on, and then the southern way.
It's fascinating.
Isn't it cool stuff? But that Ballad of Stony Lothian song, I wrote that because I went down to Honeoye Falls and I saw they had a great fire, right? And so on the way, and I had a relative, a grandparent who lived during that time in Honeoye Falls. She's buried there. And I was like, oh, this lady saw the Great Fire. So then I started thinking, what were they saying started the Great Fire? And so I started building the story in my head. And on the way home, there's a stony, lonesome road. I was like, oh, that's a synonym for a jail. And I thought up a man named Stony Lonesome. And by the end of the night, I wrote the story first. By the end of the night, I just threw a little
it's always sort of
thing
like
on there. And so it's a southern tune. I started to be able to do it.
One of the most interesting gigs I ever saw, Bill Murray. Bill Murray came, you could find the album online. He did an album with some musicians of 19th century folk songs and story songs.
Really? What's that? What is that? What do you mean? He has an album?
You could find it. It's like these other musicians. He played at the Auditorium Theater, and it was music. And he
What year?
Say 2018.
Oh, that late?
Yeah. And all he did was, like, what he would do, too, sometimes is he would start reading, like, this is from the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
And he would start doing an intro of the song.
And then the band
then
plays
then they start doing the lyrics.
Are they playing incidentally?
They're playing incidentally behind it.
That's cool.
And one of the funniest things, though, is like this was like it wasn't stand up; it was all serious.
Yeah.
Though he was funny. He did like "I'm So Pretty." He's throwing roses around.
Yeah.
But he's telling the backstories of these songs, like Stephen Foster.
You went?
Yeah. A lot of people didn't realize it was because I would like mention it to people, and they're like, "I didn't even realize he was playing."
I didn't.
And the reason we went was like, "Hey, Bill Murray's coming. You want?"
Yeah.
The one funny bit, of course, someone had to park a Ghostbusters van in front. So the first thing he says when he comes, I saw the little Ghostbusters van. And he's naturally funny, but it was serious. The musicians are really good. You would have to look it up to find out they are.
Yeah.
But it went on, and he's just. It's all these "I'm So Pretty" and all these Stephen Foster songs, Civil War songs.
Mm-hmm.
And he would explain the context of the writing of them.
Yeah.
But I always find that very chicken and eggy about but now you're giving you understanding of why this makes it different if you write the lyrics and the words.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know what Foster did.
I don't either.
The first thing you said, I want to seek it out.
Yes, we're educational here on
Yes,
the
and I have plenty of Foster books, and Robert Burns too. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure Robert Burns was lyrics first, and then.
I think so too. But
Yeah.
the other thing too is, remember, like, okay, like now from going from Robert Burns to Van Halen, or I guess David Lee Roth would just come running in 15 minutes before the song and be writing out of the garbage
and that's
bag.
the other way. And I think U2 does that a lot too. And then Bono starts scatting. And those guys just rip hooks, and that's how I learned. You know? And so that's sort of what makes U2 so great, is that...
we have like a contrarian.
Well, I mean, his lyrics and some of that stuff.
Well, for me,
incredible.
the first thing, I'm cliche because, like, when they first came out, like, Boy, War, I still get mad because...
Those are a little bit too... I mean, I like that stuff. This stuff's more subjective. But when he's coming up with those great objective songs where the streets have no name and with or without you, I mean,
they're a sore
those
spot.
will be around in 150
There's still a
years.
sore spot for me, though, for a reason you wouldn't think of. So my school, which I won't name, when they were first starting out, they could have got U2, but they wouldn't give them the extra $400.
Oh, that's funny.
And you think about that. Now, there's actually a movie, if you know, it's called I Shot Bono.
Really?
It's not naughty.
No.
But it is. It's about,
it?
okay, it's like a guy who knew Paul Hewson.
Yeah.
And they were growing up together. They both formed bands.
Yeah.
Now, when U2 got popular, he offered this guy's band opening, but he didn't want the help. He didn't tell his bandmates.
Wow.
So you could find that at your local library.
Wow.
Now, I think a lot of people pick different bands. I think it's like Coldplay now.
Mm-hmm.
They pick bands to dump on.
Well, those were our... I mean, we were there right when that was happening. I mean, when I get signed, we can jump ahead, but...
And this was the carnival we go.
And so, the 2001, I moved down to New York a month and a half after 9/11. And then within 3 months, we're signed to RCA. We're opening for the Strokes, and it's all happening. And, Coldplay's happening. And so it's funny. I remember when A Rush of Blood to the Head came out, I had our promo on a plane. And I was able to hear ours with theirs. And we're right there when that's all happening and hanging out in all those circles.
So how did that come about, getting signed and opening, doing all that?
There's one of my good friends I went to high school with, Steve Schultz. He moved down to Williamsburg in '98. We did, East Coast Connection. The whole LVO thing.
Yeah,
okay, so me, LVO, and Steve went down to New Orleans in it's Mardi Gras of '98, and we spent a month down there opening for Fats Domino on a casino boat, Boomtown Casino. And Steve made that money and then moved to Williamsburg because he heard it was up and coming. I stayed in East Coast Connection for another year because it was like I'd work like 6 nights a month and pay my bills, I was just able to sit around and write and shop stuff. I have all my rejection letters from them and stuff. And so, he got there early, and he was a great writer. And he had a very distinctive sound, very shoegazy sort of, very Edge-esque sort of vibe. And so in the Lower East Side, early 2000s, we were sort of that implement of that. I remember everyone took off except for us in a way. We were on MTV and everything. We did everything. We played Conan. We did the whole thing. It's just, I don't think... I quit.
Well, rock is just such a funny mistress,
just...
and I have so many stories of bands I know that it's like they're like so close.
Yeah, we were real close.
They were really so close,
mm-hmm.
And I think it's just industry. It's like Highland's book, "The Moon is a Harsh Mistress." The record industry is a fickle mistress, and things just happen.
Well, there were some meetings and stuff where I learned a lot of ins and outs of stuff, and I feel like when we denied certain meetings, perhaps, that then we weren't favored as much. And we were on RCA, and so we got signed right before Kings of Leon in My Morning Jacket. And, I remember going to see My Morning Jacket in San Fran right when it was really happening, and you could just tell it was popping. And I don't know, it was a weird time, And
we talk about, meetings.
I'm very stoned at that time as well, So it's hard for me to...
I actually met the guitarist from My Morning Jacket at the old Toad.
Oh, did you really?
Tipped really good.
Yeah.
I was really drunk, so I've embarrassed myself twice. Like that. The other one was with Chris Difford of Squeeze, because I was so smashed.
That's awesome. Wow.
They remember me.
Yeah.
No, but that's the sad part. It is a business, and it's very, you can look at some bands and go, this is actually years ago, we were shooting a film, we broke a camera, so we had a fundraiser. This hit me. We found a musician in Georgia to play the benefit.
Yeah.
This guy was great, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, nobody's heard of him. I even can't remember his name. There's all these great people around the country, but you're never going to hear of them.
Yeah. And yeah, we played great shows. I mean, when we were firing on all cylinders, we were pretty good,
How did you get into the producing stuff? Because you mentioned the
well,
demos.
just being around, and the record we made with Dave Fridman, so I was able to learn stuff from that. And Steve was such a great arranging guy. It just becomes, it's osmosis. Yeah, I learned harmonies from the demos without even learning how to learn harmonies. That makes sense? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't.
It does.
But,
I get it because I've understood. It's like I try to talk about a lot of times, like teaching. It is osmosis. A lot of people ask me about some things. I go, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And learn to do it.
You're just sitting in the room and you're hearing this harmonic value all the time. Then I started to hear them on my songs more.
It's like even like doing this when you start off, it's a little awkward. Like the first guest I had was a comic book artist friend of mine. I'm like writing notes. Then it's like, toss the notes. You realize it's a conversation, not an interview. Yeah. And then you get like, usually if we assemble Greg again, it's like jazz, and it's like a conversation. Yeah. And people ask me, well, I'm thinking of doing a podcast. I go, you have to learn how to do it. Get a great tech too.
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
But that's the only way you learn. You could soak it up.
And so then after a while, then I had another band after that. After I left Long Wave and moved back here, which is probably the wrong move. But I had a head full of, I'm going to be like a Dave Grohl, and you know what I mean? And it just doesn't work like that here. I was still naive about it. What are you going to do? Yeah. You should have known by 30. And I spent my early 20s here. And it's real sort of, I don't know. Everybody knows. I'll just say it. I really don't love the place to begin with. No, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my wife.
For me,
I would have been long gone.
I was out of here. I was gone, and what happened to me was my parents got sick.
Okay.
And I came back to help take care of my mom. Then my dad got dementia. So I was out of here. And I still feel, I always say, I'm like a stranger in a strange land.
Yeah,
I have like relationship stuff here, and I have business stuff here.
Yeah.
And I always look, it's like the play beyond the horizon, where I'm like, one of my friends is like, take me with you. So
yeah.
I have a love-hate relationship.
Me too. I mean, it's a great place to raise children and to
be like that, but that's not me.
Yeah. If you're over at Merrill Lynch and you did the stuff,
and I'll see people,
I'm sure it's awesome.
The
like
horrors of social media. The horrors of social media, where I get like people who hated me in high school trying to like friend me. And everything else, or like, because I know somebody says, "Oh, can you introduce me to her?" But you realize, like, all that stuff, they're living in the past. But I have a love-hate relationship with Rochester.
Yeah, me too. So I moved back. I made a record called The Mercies, and we started to get a little buzz, I think. And then I just had a lot of sort of alter ego issues, perhaps. Then, and if things didn't go the way I liked, I would just dismantle stuff. And then I made a solo record because I knew I could play every instrument. And then I made that Mikey Jukebox thing, which Andy was referencing to. And then I didn't have the money to tour that, nor find a band around here with incentive to play all my parts. So you're back to square one again, right? And then I made Admirers in 2013, but that was down at Ardent Studios. You know Ardent?
I've heard the name.
You know who Big Star is?
One of my all-time.
Okay, so Big Star.
Amazing too. The demos.
I brought him to Ardent, and so, but Admirers signed, or Ardent signed Admirers. So Jody Stevens was my A&R guy, and it's strange when you're yelling at Jody Stevens on the phone and John Fry, and. So that happened, but then John Fry and John Hampton, the producer there, passed away within weeks of each other in 2014. And I was already a little bit estranged from them. because again, that was just me and Jason from the demos. It's a studio project. It's all just this Jeff Lynne kind of stuff without a band to back it. And I'd play the bug jar here and there, but it just wasn't like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to get out of that, I did Hawker M. James. And that, by then, Joywave's coming around. And I know that I'm sort of grandfathered at that point because one of them came up to me, I won't name which one, and said, hey, man, Joywave is in honor of Longwave in Joy Division. So I'm thinking to myself in the back of my head, and I'm not dead yet, you know, like. And but the cool thing about that Hawker M. James phase, where I'm not being very prolific, but I'm dumping out some singles. You know the show Louder Milk?
Oh yeah.
There's a poster at his front door. And it's a Hawker M. James poster from a Bug Jar show in March 1st of 2014. And I opened for Joywave, but it's my picture mainly. You know, and Cops, it's me, Cops, and Fowls. But also the Admirers posters are there. So if you look at his front door, there's a lot of scenes with it. There's a Hawker M. James. Then there's an Admirers poster. Then in his dining room's another Admirers poster. And then in his office is a Mercy's poster. So it's like Loudermilk's house is just some odd place where no Mikey Jukebox poster, though. That's where they, like, cut it off. Or they're like, no more.
Isn't it amazing how they find you too? Like we had like people in Canada listening to this that I've heard from, or like you'll hear bands from, like somehow they found you in Oregon. But I will track pick for a second. Alex Chilton's death really is one of the ones that hit me.
Yeah.
But Urban Myth, my brother's band is New Math Jet Blackberries, and what they're in the soundtrack for Return of the Living Dead in the Cemetery. Now, there's the Urban Myth, and I think I've seen it in the movie Pretty in Pink in the record store.
Yeah.
More than one person has said, I think I see it, there is a copy of Sundown on Venus.
Oh, really?
But it's like, and my brother said he's never really found, he said other people have said that.
Oh, okay.
So, it's
that's cool.
It's interesting. Can you imagine you're watching, wait a second, that's a poster.
Yeah, no, someone found it first. A good friend of mine, Greg Stella, found it, and was like, dude, your poster, I was at that. I think he said he was at that show. I was at that show. Your poster's on Loudermilk, bro. But then we started my wife started, I still haven't watched it, but my wife will get into it, you know.
As long as you don't see him take a dart and throw it at you or something.
No, I know, right? But it really hasn't upped any Spotify listeners. You know, I haven't seen an insurgency or
music. And actually, one of the best things I've ever read from a musician was from Daniel Wiley from the Cosmic Rough Riders, where he wrote this big thing about musicians and like the myth and how vast majority don't make any money. It's such a tough thing. And I will not name names, but I was like with a good friend of mine at a friend's wedding, and we were talking about this, and I'll tell you off air, but he was talking about, he knew these two guys from, this would be a pretty well-known 80s band, and they're touring, they're broke.
Yeah.
And people think, well, you're a musician, you're like rich.
Yeah. No.
But I didn't know Joywave, but a friend of mine was Michaela, and she she would open for them a lot, but I don't know any of Joywave.
Yeah, I'm friends with her.
Yeah. We'll never see her anymore.
No, I haven't seen her since before COVID at a Jazz Fest afterwards, because I was stage managing for Jazz Fest up until COVID, and I didn't come back.
Sorry if I threw up on you or anything. No. I had back in the day, I would take the whole week off.
Yeah.
And literally be partying till the sun came up.
Well, Danny Deutsch and I have become pretty good pals because I was a stage manager those years right before it ended.
Yeah.
I think 3 years I did there.
I'm laughing about it.
Honestly, if it wasn't for his stage, seeing Pokey Lafarge and me thinking, I like this music too. You know, I always had all that stuff. I had John Fahey's like American Primitive compilations. Like, I was into that stuff. I didn't know what to do with it at the time. My head was always so far up Britpop's rear. You know what I mean? Beatles, Bowie, Oasis, Blur, Suede, Pulp. I was just really immersed in that stuff. And even some, like, disco. You know, like, I just was really into that stuff.
I find like I go in trends now. Like even actually during COVID, I started getting into like African music.
Yeah, of course.
That's my beauty of music. There's always something here, and I go around.
Yeah.
Like now, I've been playing 10 years after a lot.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cricklewood Green.
Yeah, I grew up. That album's ingrained in my
Alvin
head.
Lee.
That was in
But
my
like
dad's
for Danny,
pile.
the most embarrassing time. She goes back to Michaela. She's playing Lincoln Falls, and Suffragettes playing for Jazz Pacific. So, in my wild years, my Rob's wild years, I go back. Like now, I'm like, dude, how long are you playing? Hour? Webster? 7 o'clock? Dude, that's too late, too long. But so I get back. I walking down East Avenue to get to Suffragettes show. I got hit by this. It was like this monster cloud of pot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like spinning. So I remember during the show, I'm looking at the Suffragettes. I'm texting one of my friends like playing drunk. But the other one was like
Forgot about that.
My dear compassionateness, where last time was like parking's getting bad at Abilene. So I'm talking to Danny, and he's like, well, they're putting up housing. He's like, heck with that. I want to see the music. Go let them live somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like going like first time I ever went down there, I went the wrong way, ended up at the Cadillac Hotel.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But that's been like 15. I got there within the first 2 years.
Yeah.
But I saw something, Dave Alvin. That's
Yeah.
I could make the whole list of like things.
Yeah, he friended Singing River, or he followed it on Instagram.
Oh, funny story. So he's playing at.
Unless he's got a person.
He's playing. I did it. But so I'm talking to him. Okay, I don't know the name of it by the little, but he played the one gig. It was like with Sarah Borges. It was on top.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
I'm walking down there. I like to walk. I have an issue about paying for parking.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Alvin's out there by the corner. I think he's smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
And he's in cowboy boots. So I just start talking to him. Some car stops and goes, yo, cowboy.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, they don't even get it.
They don't know who he is.
That's for back to the Rochester.
That's what we always do, though, too, because, like, you become, like, I always say, like, when you mention a band, and somebody, oh, yeah, I know who they are. And, like, in Rochester, good luck if you don't try that. Like, I'll mention, and, like, on this show, I'll mention Gun Club. So, like, Gun Club.
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
They're like late 80s,
Swamp
early 90s,
Rock,
right?
Jeffrey Lee Pierce, that type of thing. But, like, everything
I
you
remember their
mentioned,
name.
Like, Gil Scott Heron, like, which I love, Winter in America, which I love. But it's like, it's almost like saying you have, like, a tribe where you get people who speak your language. Yeah. Like, you'll see somebody, I'll be walking my dog in the woods, and I'll see a shirt I recognize. And I'm like, wait a second, I know that band. Hi, Rob.
Yeah, I know. When we went to Outlaw last year, my wife was like, why are your notes open? And I was taking stock of every T-shirt I could find of a brand just to know what the motto, Outlaw Fest sort of social attribute
It's
is.
like the model of the carnival here.
And then I remember spending a day trying to figure out what is the common denominator of it all. And so then that would be you would try to do something with that.
Where it's like the model of the Carnival Fest, where whatever shirt's lying there when I'm leaving.
Yeah.
But I have this one today. But we'll go. Any good juicy stories about the demos, so I can tell Jason and Caleb next time.
I mean, not really. We had a good time.
No, they're nice. I think they're really nice people.
No, we had fun, but nothing that screams off the top of my head. We tried, we toured a bunch, and we played a bunch of showcases and got close. They got close.
Oh, yeah, that's the story.
Yeah, we played the Mercury twice, and I don't know, they didn't get the callback or whatever.
So many, but actually,
But I've been there for the callback,
Yeah.
And seen the
Everybody
opposite.
was thinking of going into music, so you want to be a rock and roll star. That was actually a satire of the business.
Yeah.
And remember back in the day, too, 70s, 80s with payola, too, a lot of it.
Yeah.
So, but it's just how it is.
It's sort of back now.
Yeah. But
the way some places are using pay to play.
Yeah, it's always, it's a dirty business, and it's just like...
It is.
You keep pushing along, do it partly, I always say, do it because you enjoy it.
Well, you got to do it the Rick Rubin way.
Yeah.
I really believe it. You just do it without thinking about anybody. You want to make the thing that you want to make.
Yes, exactly.
And if it's something someone else...
So, whatever. I could pick your worst politician if they gave me like $250,000. Like, I love you. I don't have the money not to.
But what was I going to say? You were hitting on something that we could go full circle and wrap that up. Is how I got to Singing River.
Yeah.
Was due to that stint in Abilene, and then during that Hawker M. James phase, I'm starting to dabble with all the forms, and I'm making this lo-fi album. And there's like this gospel lo-fi, crappy sounding spiritualized, and there's a little bit of disco from Admirers, and there's a little bit of rock and roll from Jukebox. I'm like putting it all together. And then I sort of like semi-retired for like half a year, and I was like, I'm just going to see what comes in. I'm just going to put it away. I didn't stop writing, but I didn't record anything, and I didn't say, I'm going to go after anything. And then slowly what came back in was like T-Bone Burnett, old 78s, Tom Waits Swordfish trombones on, Dylan Time Out of Mind on. None of the early, Lanois. And then I was like, okay, let's get to work. And that's sort of where I ended up. I'm not sure I would have got there without being the stage manager at Abilene.
My most underrated, favorite Dylan song is from an album supposedly he didn't like, Street Legal, Changing of the Guards.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just the lyrics.
I wrote a song called I Am the Moon for Singing River. It's our second single. And not to cut you off, but it directly ties to it. And so I saw that another guy, I can't remember his name, something about a buffalo. He's good, too. He had an I Am the Moon. So I'll check titles. But, man, I say that line over and over. It's like really the tag of it. I am the moon, I am the moon. So I was like, I can't name it that. What am I going to do? I got to find something. So I ended up, and it's sort of dark. The lyrics are dark. They're not extremely positive. So I ended up naming it Cold-Blooded Moon off. He uses that lyric and changing in the guy. Yeah.
Cold-Blooded Moon.
Yeah. So that's the name. That's why I named it that. Because I needed
it.
I used his reference.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got
maybe you should play that on at the
Bob
end.
would sue us. We're a podcast, not a radio show, so that's our one problem.
Yeah.
Is that we can't. Maybe Bob would.
No. You can play my single, though.
You can play your single. Yes, you're going to sue us. But I think that's when it goes like that. Yeah. I think I lost what I was going to say this time.
Jeff Rosen calls.
Yes. But so how did we get to Singing River then? Maybe I'll interrupt you.
Right there, that's how it all happened. It was really just me studying 78s and the old culture and sort of figuring out that there's a 78s collector named Joe Bassard. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
And he has all these theories. And one of them was that, the best music ever recorded was between 25 and 36. And there was this formula for the shellac. But besides that, it was really before radio takes off. So you got 7,000 years, whatever we want to say, where civilization really begins, like Mesopotamia, to now, where all these individual cultures have formed, where, you could tell an Arkansas fiddler one county over that's their style. It's still that split up. There's not a monoculture yet. Radio invents the monoculture, then TV, then obviously I don't know what else is after that, the internet, right? And so those records are the culmination of all of society in a way before it becomes an amalgamation of postmodern spew. I don't know. And so I started to think of it that way. I was like, the Carter family and Jimmy Rogers, they get big and then they become, but there's no real superstars yet. I mean, you got Jolson maybe and Bing's around the corner, but really these people just did it because they loved it, and they did it within their own sort of locale, and then just went home and made pie. You know what I mean? There's no notion of Bono's career. So remember when Coldplay came around, and I think it was who's the guy from Creation Records?
Oh my
God, what's his name? Alan. Oh man, come on, I'm getting old. Anyway, he just called them a bunch of career spedwetters, remember, or something like that, because he could smell that these guys just wanted to be career musicians. There was no edge to it, sort of. So, but that kind of hit with me that I just want to make the stuff.
You know,
that,
it used to be the
I'm
big
gonna make it for
seller.
me.
Actually, your sheet music.
Yes.
Back in the day, they would sell it.
And it was all novelty.
Yeah.
And we're back to that. I mean, all pops. I mean, if you listen to Spotify Top 100, that's novelty on steroids.
I still just go by, I ask friends recommendations and stuff and everything, or I'm just finding, I'm conservative in that way now where I seem like I'm digging more backward than forward.
Yeah.
But I'll listen to like friends' shows like on the route or whatever and see what they're playing that's new, then swear at them when they give the weather report.
Yeah. I mean, there was this one thing that Dylan said about Theme Time Radio Hour where people were like, why don't you play more new stuff? And he's sort of like, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like, man, I still haven't even got through the old stuff.
No, one of my
and it's true.
And
like, I cannot believe the rabbit holes that still form.
For me, too. Yeah. But one of the ones for me, I loved his Philosophy of Modern Song.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as I got it from the library, I bought a copy. And I've like got these little parts checked off in it. It's like hanging out, shooting it with them.
It's true. It's true.
And that's where there's so much out there. And I get a kick out of it still. There's so much out there that I've never heard of. Everything. It's like you're never gonna find.
Nope.
It's like for books and stuff now. Like there's always something new to read. Or
what was one that just happened recently? It was the Desert Rose Band.
Yeah,
Chris Hellman. I'm like, where the hell's this been?
Or like now they're gonna release.
Nobody told me that.
They're gonna release Buckingham Nicks finally.
Oh yeah, I know. That's like. It's like. Just when they finally decided to put out Shuggy Otis or something, you know, it's like, what are you waiting for, man?
I'm wondering too if like there was like that Led Zeppelin reunion for a while in '84 with Tony Thompson.
Oh yeah,
if they recorded anything. Now I heard in the latest book I read about Robert Plant was that it sounded sort of it was like cursed, but it was like more sort of funky and everything. But you wonder if there
has to be something,
like they had to record something on that.
Even if there's soundboard tapes of them working riffs. I mean, I'm sure they went back to the shed a little bit. When they're all together, right?
Yeah.
He's playing something.
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. It's
I would even hear rehearsals of them toying with riffs.
Well, there's always stuff that then they'll find out, like the Beatles secretly recorded an album in the 70s.
Oh, yeah.
You'll figure that it'll turn out, fooled you.
Yeah.
But now, what are you going forward? Singing River, what are you doing? This has been actually fun, too.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it. No, that's it for now. I mean, I think we've talked about now that Singing Rivers, we've really refined the sound. We're tracking out at 1809 Studios right now with Dave Drago. I had been tracking it myself, and the last album, I should have brought an album for you. I'll get you one, all right?
Yeah.
You have a turntable, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, so I'll get you one.
I can use my nail.
Yeah. And so we got some new singles coming out soon, which has been too long. I've learned with the algorithm, like we've already been gone 6 months, and now but we were refining the sound and get those singles out, and I want to get another album.
Playing?
We were playing the Genesee Beer Garden on August 17th. Birdhouse Brewery out in Honeoye. That's October 18th.
I hear a deer going out there.
Oh, did you? and then I'm at Abilene. What did Danny say? November. It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving at Abilene. That'll be our next big party.
I don't want to think about that yet.
Come on, I know. But yeah, that's for now. And then we like playing Love and Cup. It is the November 29th. We're going to be there.
Oh, I always love Love. It's like one of my...
That's where we've been playing the most.
Actually, one of my things, too, is can you park? I like your venue.
Yes.
I've known Leslie for years.
Yeah. So we're trying to get in there, but he doesn't... It seems like Willie doesn't want you there more than once a year sort of thing. So
I've tried getting bands I know into places. You think it's a weird racket.
It is. But yeah, and then so I think there's room for... We've discovered that some of the tunes I've been writing are still in that old model. You know what I'm talking about? Like the Bowie and the U2, there's the 80s thing to it that's undeniable. And so even if it is like 80s Heartbreakers, anthemic, I think we're going to make a Hawker M. James album.
Oh.
And so, and now there's room for it, but I wanted to figure out Singing River, and now that I know that we're like this boogie rock sort of, I'm going to front from the kit. And,
I like everything I'm hearing, too, because it seems like you're evolving organically. And you're an explorer where you don't have any fear about... This is where my creative process is taking me.
Yes.
You know, I'm not making the 6th remake of.
No, people say I've sabotaged my career by doing that, but
you might have found personal happiness and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I have no complaints.
And I won't name names again, but I have like some good friends who are great musicians. I remember they're playing a cover band. This is years ago, and okay, I remember like going to see them, and spot on. You could see there's like no passion at all. It's like calling them. Then I'll go to a band. Well, maybe not a couple of my friends who fell off the stage. Yeah. But go see a local band that's their own music. You could see they really dig it and everything. Yeah. It's like actually I told Jason after Gringo star in the demo show. I said thanks for reminding me why I actually like coming out for music, because I'm sort of becoming more of a recluse and everything. Old and crabby and parking. Yeah. Trying to get me out like that, and then it's like okay, bug jar time. When are we starting? Like the first time I went down, which clearly the show starts at 9. The first band doesn't get on until 12.
Yeah, I know.
Like that. But and I said thanks because you brought me back where I sort of remember when. Plus you didn't play for like 2 super long.
Yeah.
But cool, man. This is so. We're going to play a song from River again.
Singing River, yeah. Which one do you want to hear? You want to hear
up to you.
Cold-Blooded Moon because we brought it up?
Cold-Blooded Moon.
Yeah, we'll play that.
Unless you want to just break out and sing Changing of the Garden, I'll rattle the tambourine. Thanks for being on, man. It's been fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
I am the bride to the flame, the burning eyes, glowing name, sprinkle the mirth in mellow hues. I am the moon. I give the rambler solemn melody, reset the notion in dignity. I prepare the sleep to avenues. I am the moon. If you seek fame, if you seek fortune, better know your balance. If you seek fortune, put on your muzzle, fix your attire. Yes, I'm in peace. This love is dire. I move the seas, and mercy rules. I am the moon. I can turn to shadow, avoid the duel. There on the far side, remove from view. You are the cracks, I compress the grooves. I am the moon. If you seek fame, if you seek fortune, better know your balance. If you seek fortune, I don't have answers, I reflect the truth. You better listen, know the use. Did you accept? Did you